You guys like magical arts and crafts? How about some witch bottles? So, in my experience and my research, witch bottles can be used for various different purposes. They effectively can act like attractors and magnets for different things or to repel different things. And the most common use of a witch bottle would be protection stuff. And that's exactly what this one is. Now, this is like several years old. I made it years ago and then I found it where it had been hanging out, and I was like, I'm gonna make a video on that, right? So I did. So effectively, you take a jar, right? And now this is for like protection stuff. So I'm just gonna preface this with this particular one right here is for protection purposes. So that's the example that I'm going to use. So you want to think about filling it with stuff that no one's gonna want to touch, right? I'm talking about things that are like spicy and nasty and things that are painful to the touch. So one of the caveats in there is you got to find a something with iron in it. We're talking like a rusty nail, and I'm not talking about like modern nails because a lot of modern nails don't have iron in them. And so you can get like an old railroad spike if you find like an old crappy like rundown railroad track one that's not used or whatever, and you can find a railroad spike there. You can find like an old nail from like old houses or whatever, anything that's got iron in it, which is why this has kind of a reddish tint. I don't know if you guys can tell that. And then on top of the metal with the iron in it, you want to fill it up with like thorns and like peppers and what else is in there? Any spices that are nasty, very spicy things. Even little I'm trying to remember the name of the little plant things that they look like little balls and they have spikes all over them. I think it's a seed of some kind. She knows what it is, but she ain't here. Otherwise, I would have asked her before making this video. Whatever. But then you can also fill it with sigils. Sigils of protective entities, protective deities, and whatnot, or sigils of your own making of who to protect it from or what purpose to serve. One of the other suggestions is that you actually urinate in it because of course nobody wants to be anywhere around that, right? So it's all these pungent things. It's all these things that no one wants to be around, and therefore it pushes them away. So you got to think allegorically. What do you have or what can you think of in your house or that you have access to that no one wants to be around? Somebody would stray away from that because that's nasty, right? And you fill the bottle up with that stuff. And then you can put the sigils in there that you make for protective deities, or even you can create a sigil. I always talk about this creating a sigil based on a purpose. You can use the artistic method, you can use planetary squares, you can use a rose cross, what have you. You can check out my sigil classes on Udemy if you want to learn more about that kind of stuff. But you make your sigils and then you charge them like you would any other sigil, and then you stick them in there. And then you can have this witch bottle that you've made as your focal point for a ritual, and that's when you are raising energy around it, protective energy in this example. So you would want to have some very appropriate music for that if you can handle having music in your ritual. One thing for a protection witch bottle would probably be Home Invasion by ICP. Fabulous song, by the way. Love it. I always try to go with themes and stuff. Um, Rip it open and blow them off the porch. Of course, I edited that because I wanted to be YouTube friendly. Anyhows, so you have it as your focal point, and then you put into it all of your thoughts about keeping things out, what to keep out, safety, stuff like that. You make a verbal out loud declaration of this witch bottle is going to protect me from A, B, C, D, da 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 da, and then like so mote it be, and so it is, amen, whatever kind of word you want to use there, or kakamu selah, for those of us in the Necronomicon tradition, the Simon Necronomicon tradition. Anyway, speaking of which, this particular one actually has a Gabil sigil in there. I don't know if you guys can see it because of the glare. Yeah, I think Yeah, you guys can probably see that, right? Um, so, yeah, very protective. Anyway, so in terms of other witch bottles, you can fill them with things that are like if you're trying to attract something, then you want to have sweet smelling things. You want to have wonderful things, very, very nice things that you can put in there. Rose petals, lavender, other kinds of positive, sweet smelling things, maybe purified water, and then sigils for what you want to attract, or sigils of entities that are very positive and very beneficial. Like you can think of Barashakushu would be a good one to put in a positive um, witch bottle. And maybe I'll make one of those one of these days when I find time because time is so lacking. But especially free time to figure out stuff to do along with energy level and whatnot. But now I'm starting to ramble. So, anyways, that is kind of witch bottles in a nutshell. Let me know if you guys want me to do a follow up on this or have any questions about witch bottles. You can always email me, and you can check out any of my other videos that are on this channel. You can head over to my Magickology YT Facebook group to interact with me and other people that think along the same lines. Anyways, good hunting. Thanks for watching my video. So if you want to check out my playlists, I have, among others, the Simon Necronomicon, the Tree of Life, General Magic, Tulpamancy, a playlist on my books, the elements, stones, the theories that govern magic, and the gods and goddesses of Mesopotamia. If you want to check out my books on Amazon, I have Creating Consciousness, Magical Mechanics, Magical Theater, Handy Sigil Magic, Magical Movement, which is an update and expansion upon Handy Sigil Magic, Magical Mastery, which is a combination masterwork of magical theater and magical mechanics, and The Guide to the Spheres and Beyond. You can also find me on Facebook at Magickology YT. You can email me at priestofthenecro@gmail.com, and you can even check out my Instagram, which is Magickology. And good hunting.